So we're building a voice agent, but it's important to know and understand which AI model to pick, which LLM model. So here's how to get it right. When you're choosing an LLM for your voice agent, you need to think about cost, speed, intelligence, latency, and how it handles function calls and prompts, how intelligent it is basically. Here's a funky little graph showing as the intelligence increases, the price increases, and the speed decreases. That's the key trade-off here. Cheaper models are faster, but not as smart. Smarter models can handle more complex tasks, but they are inherently slower and more expensive. Here's the rub and the trade-off. If you want fast and cheap, your prompting generally has to be better. I would say almost perfect. That's how you make a simple model do complex things. But if your agent is really complex with lots of functions, you're going to need a smarter model. There's no avoiding it when you get to the upper levels of complexity. So there's no way to avoid a little bit more cost and latency. So while we're on the subject of cost, right now we're using 11 Labs. They include the LLM usage in your credits. So it doesn't matter which one you choose in the drop-down box, and we're just going to have a little look at those in a minute. It's included. So there's no extra cost with trying out more complex models at the moment during testing. You'll see though in your account, it says that at the moment 11 Labs are covering this cost, but in the future they won't. So what does that mean? Eventually we'll be paying for the LLM cost. So the key takeaway is any agents that we build now, especially if we intend to deploy them for people for real, we need to learn to optimize them to use the cheapest, fastest model, not just to save money, but because we want fast, we want to reduce latency. So with a voice agent, we're always trying to use the fastest model, which happens to always be the cheapest one, to get the result that we need. But if we get to the point that even with perfect prompting, we still can't, we have to move up to a more complicated model and accept that there's going to be a little bit more latency. I hope that makes sense. 11 Labs also has the option to connect a custom LLM, and I've been playing around with that an awful lot. That's not something that we're going to cover in this course. I don't think we don't need to. I've actually just seen, I had to restart filming this because let's go and have a look at the 11 Labs dashboard here. Under the LLM here, you'll see, and I'll just quickly show you, we now have in here the 4.1, the GPT 4.1 family of models. These weren't in here. I don't think they were in here yesterday, maybe they were, but that's arrived over the last couple of days. I've been using a back-end server and connecting 4.1 through a custom integration, which now I won't need to, which is fantastic. It's just because it's easier and it's less code and it's less faffing around if it's integrated in 11 Labs. And that just shows that things just move so fast. And if you think, oh, I wish that was available, a few days later, boom, there it is. Getting to the models here, I'm not going to go through them all. You can play with them. You probably won't notice an awful lot of difference unless you're starting to add function calls and more complicated prompts into here. If you're just switching them and you're using just a basic system prompt, they're all going to do a pretty good job. I favor the GPT models for voice agents because I have found through lots and lots of testing that they generally just follow instructions to execute function tools better. I'm always trying different ones. I'm always experimenting, but at the moment I keep coming back to GPT models. Now the three models really that we're going to be concerned with are GPT-4o Mini, which has been my go-to for a long time for building voice agents. It's got a much lower context window than the GPT 4.1 models, but the two cheapest models are GPT-4o Mini and GPT 4.1 Nano. Nano is the absolute cheapest, but it is not quite as intelligent as GPT-4o. However, it has a larger context window. So you can see there's all these different factors and things to take into consideration. And really, the only way to find out which is the best one a lot of the time is to build your agent and thoroughly test and try them and see which one works. So it's not a quick process, and there's no right or wrong. And I'm not going to sit here and say you should use this model or you should use that model. This is just a video to outline some of the complexities in choosing them. But what we're going to use building this model is GPT-4o Mini. It's fantastic. I've used it for a long time, and the context window is more than big enough for building a little voice agent that we're going to be doing. So that's it for now. Sorry about rambling on a little bit, but it's quite a lot to get through, and it's a fairly tricky subject really to talk about. The next video is going to cover voice configuration, basic settings, and we might even cover the knowledge base setup, although that might be a separate video. Anyway, if you're still here, great. Don't forget, we've got a community that offers even more support. It's AI Freedom Finders, links in my bio. Hope to see you there.